Hey everybody, welcome to AFTERBUZZ TV's after show for HBO's new hit miniseries, The Night Of. Tonight we're talking part 2, Subtle Beast, and we have special guest JD Williams in the house. Well, he's not in the house, but he's calling into the house, so don't go anywhere.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
I love this intro so much. It stresses me out. It stresses me out.
You feel all the suspense, every little moment.
Yeah.
It's just another actually, this episode's pretty calm.
Yeah, it was quite
It's
calm.
not a crazy episode.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's like not that much dialogue, but it stressed me out still. So I don't
A
know.
lot of emotion.
Yes.
Very depressing.
Very, but welcome back, guys, here to AFTERBUZZ TV. This is AFTERBUZZ TV's after show for HBO's new miniseries, The Night Of. This is episode 2. It was a lot slower than last week, but still very important. But before we get started with our discussion, I'm your host, Miaira Jennings, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Miaira Jennings, and I'm joined by my panel of co-hosts.
Hey guys, I'm Joelle Monique, and you can find me everywhere on the internet at Joelle Monique.
Hello everyone, I'm Abby Vega. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at _Abby Vega.
Hey guys, I'm Renee Ariel, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Renee Ariel.
And finally, our special guest Skyping in over here, JD Williams.
Hey! Hello.
Hopefully you guys can see him. Where can everybody find you on Twitter, JD?
Yeah, well, I wish I could have been there in person. I want to thank you guys for the invite. It's just that I'm not on your side of the coast, your coast right now. But next time, I'll be with HBO for a while, so I'm pretty sure we'll get a chance to do some things together again. But thank you for inviting me.
Oh, thank you for talking with
us. We definitely appreciate it. We have a lot to talk about, and we can just get started talking about this episode so we have time to talk to you about all your projects, but let's jump in. So this opening shot was really powerful for me. Let's just talk about that for a minute, because I feel like it was deliberately placed there, the way that it was shot, and it was very blurry, as if like we're supposed to see it from maybe his perspective, and he doesn't really remember. So what do you guys think about that opening scene?
It definitely felt like a memory where I really liked the fact that they were like these kinds of innocent moments and then like dead body, and I was like, oh god, okay, here we go. They're not gonna let up on it heading into episode 2. Like, we're gonna keep it going strong and in the fray. It was dramatic.
It was really dramatic. It was just so intense. And the whole time I was kind of waiting to maybe see something like we didn't know about. And I was just like on the edge of my seat. Oh gosh.
Yeah, it was very chilling. I don't know. And I swear that deer head.
I knew you were gonna bring that up.
That deer head has a camera in it or something. I am convinced they keep showing that stupid deer head. And I know there was blood on it this time.
But that was
Out
really
of the
strange, because
eye.
that's the one place we didn't see blood splatter. And like with all of the like placement and careful like situating in episode 1, the one place we never saw blood was on the deer head.
And it wouldn't
How
make
did
sense.
it get in there? I have no idea. Unless she had been downstairs originally, like if she had gone down with Nasir
Who knows what that
and then
girl
went back
does.
up. I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. The deer head's going to be relevant. JD, is the deer head relevant?
Well, see, I like all the speculation you guys doing, because you guys just went way out there to the camera being in the deer head. But I mean, I can get into the little theories with you. Like, remember when she cut his hand in the first one, and then they started, rolling around the house and having that somewhat wild sex, maybe she could have splattered the deer then.
What? No.
Right?
That would have been a far splatter.
How does that splatter that far?
And it was a lot.
I don't know.
Yeah, I guess she could have used it as support.
Oh,
The antlers.
wow.
Whoa, okay.
What? We're throwing out theories here.
Yeah, that's interesting.
She had a knife wound through her hand, so maybe it was getting all over the place. We don't know, but I'll just try to handle that little theory for you right now. I don't think there's surveillance equipment in the deer head.
There goes
Thank
my
you
I don't
for clearing that up.
Thank
because,
you.
There goes your theory.
Yeah,
There goes my
sorry,
theory.
Abby. Maybe next time.
I think that's more for The Wire.
that's fair.
That would make sense. But anyway, so moving on. So we see that Officer Cassie and the other officer, I don't remember his name, they're being questioned. Obviously, we knew that was going to come into play It would be a pretty big part in the investigation, I'm sure, because they were the first people to encounter Nas that night. And then we see that the lawyer, Jack, is talking to Nas, and he says something very, very important. He says he doesn't want to know the truth yet.
Yeah.
So what did you guys think about that exchange between the lawyer and Nas, and just everything that Jack was saying at that point?
Well, one thing that's very interesting to me in the whole thing is he doesn't want to know the truth. But at this point, does Nas even know the truth? You know what I mean? It's he has his saying that he didn't do it, and he thinks that's his truth. Like, that's his truth right now. Like, I didn't do this. But he really doesn't know the truth at this point. He has said many times he doesn't even remember what happened. So it's kind of that whole thing about the truth is interesting to me at this point in the story.
I think it's completely irrelevant considering exactly he doesn't remember anything, and I think Jack is aware of that. Also, especially what he does remember, how does that help the case? Oh, well, we were playing this knife game, and then I drugged out, and then I woke up and she was dead. That does not help you at all. You need to come up with a better story. Otherwise, he's going to prison for the rest of his life.
Well, Jack knows whatever Nasir does remember is just going to be a sob story, and that's not going to help Jack defend him any better. Like, at this point, I mean, he kind of wraps it up at the end by saying, like, look, be the jury. Like, run the checkpoints past yourself. Do you look innocent even to you? So why would I care to know what you know? Like, I need to create a line here for you so we can get you out. So it's a smart play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which really sucks because, I mean, like you said, his truth is that from what he understands, he didn't do it, and he just wants people to know what happened, but he can't really tell people that anymore because it may incriminate him even further. So I would be so frustrated in that situation. What do you think, JD? Should he just keep on trying to tell the truth, or what?
Well, no. I mean, that's pretty honest. The whole assessment of what the lawyer would tell you. Look, I don't want to hear your opinion. Just tell me what I want to know so that I have plausible deniability. So I think that's a good move on the part of most lawyers, you know, unless the client needs to get it off their chest. But then when you have somebody like Nas, I think that was the way to go, and just hear what you need to hear so that he can go on with the investigation as he needs to. I think that was a great move. And also, back to you guys talking about the first shot, Steve really likes to keep things really, Steve Zalian, the director, he loves to keep things really, you know, visceral, and he'll keep you held in one place for a long time. So he always wants to make sure that he has your attention. I think whether it's with the words that he's written or with what he's shooting, he wants to make sure he has your attention, I think, before he proceeds to the next thing, you know?
Oh yeah, you can tell. I love the way it's shot.
That's a great job, yeah.
Everything's very particular, so great attention to detail.
Absolutely.
So after that, we kind of get an interesting turn of events when we're introduced to Andrea's stepdad. So we see that detective, what is his name? I keep forgetting.
Box.
Thank you. Detective Box is on the phone. We don't know who it is yet, but we know that the person on the other end is basically saying, oh, well, you know, I'm not coming down, because obviously he doesn't know she's dead yet. What did she do now? Which leads us to believe that she is a troublemaker, like we pretty much
got in that first episode.
Pretty obvious. Right? The girl is a troublemaker. She's bad news. So later on, he's called into the coroner's office, and he starts acting pretty fishy, right? What did you guys think about that scene in the coroner's office?
He's so shady. No emotions. He's like, that's not her. Like, he doesn't even, this is a dead person who is brutally murdered, and there's no emotion. He is a psychopath.
Well, my first reaction was, there's no way this is her dad, because he looked so young to me. I have my suspicions about inappropriate relationships between stepdad and daughter.
I thought the same thing.
Stepdaughter and stepdad. I 100% see that coming. I guess that's more of a prediction. But yeah, he was a little too no emotions, too straight. There's something weird about him. I don't think he killed her.
I don't think so
But there was something weird about him.
I'm thinking mob connection. I'm sticking strong to that theory until it's completely disproven. Because all these shadowy, like, family figures that we never get to see or really know about, it feels mobby to me. But it also, I really liked the way that scene was shot, because we have all of these people that you're supposed to trust, the coroners and everything, are completely in shadow. You can hardly see their faces or get their facial expressions, but he and the stepfather, who you clearly feel is kind of lying to you or definitely holding something back, is like clear as day. Like, he's the only one in light. And I'm trying to figure out what the television makers are trying to tell us through these shots, and who can we really trust. Is it a police cover-up? I trust no one.
I trust no one either.
Yeah, it's so crazy because when I was watching that scene, immediately, just like we said, I was thinking, well, obviously he's hiding something or he's disconnected. He's not sad that she might be dead. But then I'm thinking, well, maybe he's just in shock or he's in denial, because later on when he's talking to the detective in whatever, the diner, whatever, he was pretty, he was participating and it didn't seem like he was lying. So I don't know. I don't know. What are we supposed to think, JD? Is he hiding something?
I just think that one of the things that is being set up as far as the show goes is it's showing that definitely information and knowledge is power. Mm-hmm. And it seems like almost every character knows something that they're, that they have to either withhold or that they're going to have to use later. So I think that might be like kind of one of the little decoders as far as what's going on. Everybody so far knows something that the other person doesn't know, or something extra. Box makes sure that he's very careful with his information. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on
Jack Stone,
the lawyer.
Yeah, he's only wants to know what he needs to know. He doesn't want extra information because it'll slow him down. My character may or may not know something. Then you have all these other questions about, Naz. What does he exactly remember? So everybody, I think, has a little something that they're holding back, or they know, or they don't know that they know. And I think that's one of the major themes of this show, among other things.
Ooh,
but definitely that's like a big point in the show, that a lot of people have information that they're not sure of,
Yeah,
I like that they don't know that they know.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, that's entirely possible.
Yeah.
That's entirely possible.
Yeah,
That's
it definitely is. I liked that.
It seems like the only person who's 100% upfront so far is Mr. Hassan. Like, his father, Naz's father. Like, his mom finds the condoms in the Maxim, and she's like, I'm just doing laundry. Like, my perfect son I still believe nothing has happened. And of course, Naz was even like, yeah, and then I didn't feel so good, and I took a nap. Naz, come on. Like, you could tell your parents that you did drugs. It's going to be, like, at this point, you should be able to tell them a lot of things. Like, you're being put away for murder.
Yeah, I would, at this point, I would just, but I guess, he figured out pretty quickly that he can't continue telling people everything.
Yeah, this is also true.
Yeah, still. So, after that, like we said, we're introduced to his parents again, and they get to visit him finally. But after going to the wrong precinct, which just breaks my heart. Like, these people obviously are not prepared for something like this. What did you guys think about the interactions between his parents and the officers? And they're just so dry and unhelpful. And I don't know if that's typical or if we're supposed to think that was a little emphasized more because of Nas and all of these different characters. But what did you guys think?
I definitely think his class plays somewhat a part of it. Like, you're not money coming in with your high-powered lawyers, like, about to do anything to us. Yeah. But I also think, like, cops see terrible stuff every single day, and at some point you just shield yourself from trying to get, like, teary parents are always in here, my son didn't do it, like, help me. And I'm sure they're, like, passively, just that way, please. Like, I can't help you any further than this. You need to go through the proper channels. That was the kind of tone I got from it.
True.
Yeah, it could totally be that. Just like we see this every day. But in this episode, I noticed a lot with Jack Stone, which is why I feel like this show is putting a lot on, like, the race of Nas and Jack Stone as well. Like, they show that clip of him on the subway and a woman gets up and moves away. And just different things like that. I think that there's supposed to be, like, subtle undertones. And, like, it could totally be that, but I also didn't know if that came into play, too, with why they were treating them a certain way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I kind of got the vibe that it was just kind of seeing it from... We want to root for Naz, because we don't think he did it. Well, I don't think he did it. So seeing his parents who know he's innocent and and the mom brought him food, and then them trying to be like, we want to see our son who's innocent, and then them being completely cold back, like, breaks our hearts. But at the same time, if it was the parents of someone that actually did commit the crime, I think it would be the same interaction. We would just not feel as bad. We'd be like, well, he's a murderer, so sorry.
But then you wonder, though, the whole class thing. If this couple came in all, authoritative. They were clearly in a place that they do not even comprehend what is happening. They seem very naive and don't know anything about this. So it would be curious to see a different set of parents coming in, you know, and they're, it just could, it could be different based on class and stuff like that too. So, but that was a good point that you want to, they maybe want us to feel kind of.
Yeah, I think so. I think, and JD, when you're watching this, do you feel, I mean, I know you may know who did it. You may or may not know who committed this crime, but we're clearly supposed to feel for Nas and his family. So what do you think about the interactions that we get between the officers and Nas's family and the fact they're just not very sympathetic, I guess?
I feel it's overall, you know, authentic and honest, but that's because another major theme of the project is process. So when you're talking about officers and the system and them being part of the process and them being the process, you know, it does become dry, like you said, and it becomes something to them of a job to where, you know, they know what processes they have to take, and now they have to tell you're probably the 15,000th person that they have to tell. And so I think that it was very honest. As far as it being possibly classist, I mean, the story would be completely different if he was a different, you know, if he was more affluent and, you know, depending on no matter what ethnicity he was, but if he was more affluent, the story would be, you know, different. But I think this illustrates that fine line of, you know, hardworking American red-blooded family, you know, but they, you know, people sometimes get caught up in the system and the process.
That's very true. Very sad. I know last week we didn't talk about Detective Box's character a lot, but I really want to talk about him because I feel like this episode was really focused on his character, especially since it's called Subtle Beast. So, I mean, and Nas and the lawyer referred to him as Subtle Beast. So we get that exchange, which I loved. I loved this scene, the exchange between Jack and Detective Box. That's probably one of my favorite scenes of this episode. I love that back and forth between them. But I just want to know, what did you guys think about their characters and their interaction? And do you think Detective Box is truly 100% believing that Nas did it? And also, do you think he'll even want to explore other suspects, or he's just doing his job, sticking to the evidence, and going in that direction?
I'm going to kick it back to NPR's case kind of study on cops and stuff, and where it's not our job to prove if you did it or not. It's our job to collect evidence and make sure that evidence connects to an individual. And he said it himself, like, I've never had an open and shut case like this in a really long time. This is easy, but I do feel like his conscience does, like, he seems like the kind of guy who wants to be sure he got the right guy. And he, in following protocol, as JD so wisely said, like, he has to put him up for homicide, otherwise you have to let him go. You have to either charge him or let him go. So I think he's in a really difficult place right now of, like, there's something not quite adding up, and yet common sense says this is it, move on to the next one. In watching the scene and those two guys go back, where, like, two master actors, like, really go at each other is always so fun. And I kind of was like, do we have two subtle beasts in this scene? Like, are we? So. I feel like we're not just talking about one. Like, these guys are I cannot wait till they get to court. They're gonna tear each other apart. It's gonna be so much fun.
I loved when he said, he's like, the reason you're not charging him is because there's something for you that's not right. And but I kept going back and forth this episode. I could be completely on my own on this, but I don't know how I feel about him yet. I wrote down, is he good?
Jack or Box?
About
Detective?
Box.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. There's just something off about him still for me, and I can't tell if he's, like, good. It's dumb to say good or bad, but I really cannot tell.
He seems emotionally disconnected, and he has a quantum leap of, like, just knowledge that he can just pull out all the time from just seemingly nowhere. So there's definitely some kind of eerie backstory to him. Like, what have you been through? How did you get all of this knowledge? I don't trust him fully.
And I feel like he's kind of taking advantage of the fact that Nas, I don't know if I'm saying that right. Nas. I feel like he's taking advantage of him not fully understanding and him being so naive and kind of innocent and unaware of the, like, can't think of the word, but the seriousness of the situation he's in, because he's still thinking, like, I'm telling the truth, I'm going to be okay. And so I think he's taking advantage of that, trying to get information and kind of looking for him to mess up.
Yeah, I think I mean, his job is to get the bad guy. And with all this evidence, I mean, who else does it point to? Just Naz. So because of the evidence, I think it would immediately point to whoever was in that situation, which was Naz. But then Naz's personality didn't really add up, and I think he knows that. But doing his job, he's like, nope, it has to be this guy. So I don't think it's necessarily because he's getting lazy about it or anything. I think it's just because when you've done that job for so long and you've heard so many people be like, I didn't do it, it wasn't me, you stop believing whoever it is you're talking to, and that shouldn't be any different. But I mean, I hope as the case goes on, maybe he'll see him in a different light. But I think right now, even though it doesn't add up, he does think that he did it.
Well, and we're about 2 minutes from it being completely out of his control as he hands it over to the DA, and there was that whole weird kind of exchange between him and the DA. She's like, how am I going to lose this case? He's like, oh, you're not. When you could clearly see that he's like, I haven't found the thing that would get you to lose it, but I don't know. There's something not adding up. So I wonder if he'll continue to investigate it after he's handed it over to the DA, which you're definitely not supposed to do, which will put him in some weird hot water. I'd like to see that.
He definitely will.
Me too. I would love that.
Yeah.
Me too. And JD, I see that you want to chime in here. Go for it.
because it's kind of weird for me because the character of Box, I don't like as a person.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I like that character as a person because it kind of he kind of typifies the person who's smarter than to follow procedures so closely, you know, and not be able to exert any common sense, not any power to exert common sense. Because I would say in the first episode, when he had Naz take his clothes off and change his clothes, you see all of the scars and cuts on Naz's back from sex, you know? So if you're any type of detective, then you would kind of put two and two together and be like, look, he was with the girl, you know, and obviously they had sex and something else went on. And then you see this kid who, you know, and I'm pretty sure internally at some level, he feels, you know, not 100% sure. He has doubts, I'm pretty sure. Yet and still, he's still more bound by, I don't know if it's his duty, because maybe, like you said, maybe he has something going on in his backstory where he actually is tired of fighting the good fight, and he just decides, look, I'm just gonna go ahead and process this. But his character is just, to me, like, so, and it's very honest. It's like just like a cop will tell you, like, if you do this for me, then, you know, I'll do this for you. And it's never, you know, and especially with somebody who's more naive or ignorant of the system, those types of police officers, they definitely do, you know, exist. And the Box character just really gets under my skin.
I'm with you right now. There's something about him that I'm not super.
Because he skirts the line. You know, he's not here for you. He's definitely going to put himself in a position to feel like your friend, because that's the best way. Like, when you're caught and cornered, like, your lawyer's downstairs, like, having coffee, pounding it up with the people that arrested you. Like, I'm here to help you. But Nasir is clearly no joke. Like, he's smart. Like, he made one night full of terrible, awful, please go home decisions. But overall, smart kid. So I'm glad that I was worried for a second that he wasn't going to stop talking. But
I know.
Like, especially with the taking of the inhaler. Like, you need it and it's for medical, but I'm like, you never take a gift from your enemy, ever. It's always bad, at least story structure wise. But it seems like he kind of wised up toward the end. It was
he's definitely wising up, like you said. And Detective Box is so manipulative, which I completely agree with you guys were saying. Like, it's hard to determine whether or not we think he's good or whatever. But on the contrary, I really, really like Jack, and I think that he is very down to earth. And for some reason, his interactions with the different people, whether it be his son's mother, it seems like they're not together, or this other officer in the precinct, everyone's very shocked that he's on this case, which makes me want to root for him even more. You know, just in addition to the fact that he's helping out Naz, who I don't believe did it. But it just seems like this is his chance. He's obviously never had a case like this before. Do you guys think he's ready? Do you think he knows what he's getting into?
It worries me.
Because he's excited,
I feel
right?
like he's in
happy.
over his head. He's bit off more than he can chew, and he's going to realize that when the actual case starts and they're in the courtroom, and he's like, oh, what do I do now? Because clearly, from all of the interactions, everyone's like, you took on a murder, a homicide, really? that scares me to death, and it makes me so wish that like another lawyer would walk in and be like, I can win this case easily, because Nas just needs to get out of there.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: sometimes your very best person is someone who isn't gonna think conventionally, which he won't have the like murder trial experience to think conventionally. He's gonna only be thinking from outside the box, and he believes in Nasir, even though he doesn't want to know the truth. He's like, that kid killed him. Like, that kid didn't stab it. He couldn't even believe he cut a girl, let alone like savagely
Even those
murdered a
other
girl.
prisoners.
Yeah,
I love that.
That was
They're
the
all
best
like, "What did he
reaction.
That was so funny.
So I feel like even though it's going to be an uphill battle, and you're right, I don't think he's prepared for that climb yet. I think that he'll whip it into shape, but I think at first it's definitely going to be like a blowback. When media gets in, I think that's when he's going to start to crumble. Like, he knows all the judges and like the other lawyers and the cops and everything, but I don't think he knows the media the way he'll need to for this case. I think that's going to be where he really gets hurt.
Because Detective Box is clearly well known that everybody knows, and he's one of the best at what he does, clearly. So I don't know, JD, I know you said that you don't really like Box as a person, but what do you think about Lawyer Jack over here?
Oh, well, I mean, he's Jack Stone. He's a character, so he's interesting. He seems like a person that had a bigger purpose, but is kind of decided to, you know, just be more mellow and just do do things that don't put up too much resistance for him. But you know, as you saw in the first episode, he kind of stepped into this one. But I like Jack Stone. I think Jack Stone is a great character. I think John makes him even more interesting. And I mean, it's just, you know, you always, like you said, you want to see the underdog win, and you like to see people being helped. So I definitely want to see Stone get over his eczema.
I know, don't we all?
For real.
Oh my god.
You guys got so
poor
much
guy.
foot cream. I've never seen that much before in my
Whole
life.
counter. Yes, the whole drugstore up there. Yes.
Eczema is going to become a character, guys, so get ready. You're going to enjoy it.
Yeah, the eczema's already a character.
Yeah, we're prepared for more of that. So I guess the last big part of the episode was when Naz's bail was denied by the judge and he was taken to Riker's Island. That whole scene, oh my gosh.
It was so
pretty intense, right? And like we said earlier, I don't remember if it was Abby or just everyone, but there wasn't much dialogue. There were a lot of sequences of just music and emotion, and that scene was really impactful.
Yeah.
It
what do you
was.
guys
That
think?
one scene where they were first taking him to like holding or whatever it was, I kept thinking that what
Sorry, we were thinking of the phone anal removal.
oh yeah that was
a lot. That was a lot.
That's
no,
hilarious.
but that music, I just kept waiting for someone to like shank him
Yeah.
or something. I thought something bad was gonna. I mean, that whole scene was intense, and when they had him in the is it whole whatever that little thing was before they went in. I loved how they did that scene. There was, I don't think, if I'm remembering correctly, like no background music or anything when they were sitting in there and that guy was telling her to shut up, or was the music choices and everything that they
That was
do,
intense, yeah.
they build suspense without even overdoing it, you know? It's just like subtleties and different shots that they hold on to for extra long, and I was so stressed out and nothing
Exactly.
to Nas even even happened yet.
Yeah.
So I just love the way it's shot, and I love it. It's brilliant.
Yeah, I was uncomfortable like throughout the whole episode,
Yeah.
no matter what the scene was. Whether his lawyer was putting on foot cream, that was like uncomfortable. Whether they were sitting in the cell all together and that guy was throwing up, that was like every scene of this episode was so uncomfortable. It made you just cringe. It was a lot. It was really good, and it sets the tone for I think just the whole series and what we have coming. I don't even know really, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you guys do know the full scope of what's gonna happen as far as the story, because it is definitely multi-layered. You definitely still have the murder mystery, then you have the legal drama, but then a big part of it is also gonna be, you know, Nasir's life, his trauma, and dealing with what the situation he's in, and becoming the person that, you know, he may or may not have to become throughout his situation. So I think this is gonna be a multi-layered glimpse that a lot of people are never had a chance to see, you know, before in certain levels.
Based
I
off
love-
what,
yeah, go
sorry,
ahead, go ahead.
based off what you're saying and piggybacking off what you were saying with these really long takes, if you guys have heard any of the stories coming out of Rikers Island recently, it's particularly
Yes.
about these long-held solitary confinement kinds of things and like super overcrowded prisons. Like I'm really hoping we get a lot more into that experience in that world. Like it's terrifying, but the show is scary, so I feel like it's the appropriate place to explore those dynamics.
I think we will get that, and I just love what you said, JD. The person that he may or may not have to become. That's so telling because, like I said, I predicted that he'll take some kind of plea deal, even though he didn't do it, or we may find out he didn't do it. But that's just telling to the fact that so many people feel like they have to make these decisions in order to get in a better situation, even if they are innocent. So
sad.
Oh my gosh, I don't know. Let's get into predictions. What do you guys think? Let's do some predictions for next episode. Yeah.
What do you think?
Okay, so
Well, actually, I have a specific question for predictions because we did kind of general last week. So I want to know who you guys think came to visit Nas because we got a preview. We got a preview for the next episode. And you know how they looked up and they didn't show the person, right?
Now, see,
thought
that
it
was
was a
like
prisoner.
a cell
I thought
to
it was
me.
a prisoner.
Oh, it was?
Yeah, I think
looks
it was
like
that
a
Hightower
cell.
guy.
which is terrifying because
Why
I feel
did
like
I
it's
see
someone.
no one? This is where my mob just keeps coming in. It's the mob. It's or some kind of criminal organization that she was a part of.
Okay.
Because it's
okay,
up
so this is
high
your
in the
prediction.
corner.
Go.
Yeah.
You go first.
No. Well, we have a prison cell up high in the corner, away from everybody else. And correct me if I'm wrong. Was that a guard?
That was a guard. That's why I was like,
Yeah, you knew
who
a
has
guard.
power over a guard to be like,
The
come to come
mob.
visit me?
Yeah.
The mob has power over guards. But I'm just looking at JD like, am
Yeah,
I
I'm
getting
like,
it close?
trying to
Am
get-
I almost
Can I say
there?
something? This is another thing too. The knife that he had, there's no way that was the murder weapon.
I agree
because
with you.
when he had that knife, first of all, he got it from the same place they left it. Second of all, there was no blood on it, really. There was like blood, but compared to that scene,
room, yeah.
so
Yeah.
someone has the murder weapon. That's what's leading me to think he's innocent. But in the long run, too, I think that, and this, I feel weird saying, like, I kind of hope this is how it ends because it'd be different than a lot of shows where you hope that the innocent person is maybe actually innocent. I think he's innocent and we're going to be proven that, but I still think that he's going to be
Convicted of
it. That's what I'm thinking they're going to do with this show. As for I automatically just assume that Hightower guy because he was scary and he was in this, and I'm like, what's he going to want with him? But
I don't know if Hightower is anything to do. Hightower is just the angry dude you, unfortunately enough, have to get booked with at the same time. Like, I feel...
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me if he came up later in some different aspect, but I really think we're dealing with somebody who's pulling strings behind the scenes.
I thought they were
Yeah.
going to be roommates. Him and
my
him and
God.
Hightower.
Oh.
That'd be
That'd be
horrible.
crazy.
Renee, what do you think?
Okay, so I definitely think, I don't know if it's going to be this next episode or a few episodes from now, I think we're going to learn more about Andrea's life and who is in her life because I think they're going to realize, okay, we need to learn more about this woman to find out who would have wanted her dead. And I think we'll meet, I think there's a guy that she's seeing because that girl, I don't
Yeah.
like that girl. She's bad news.
I think
was
so,
bad
too.
news.
Yeah.
But I think she was seeing someone. So I think there's a guy involved that we haven't met, and he might be a potential suspect. But like in these cases, usually the first suspect is a boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, husband. Always. So I think we're gonna meet someone that's shady in her life that she was romantically involved in, and then hopefully, maybe, I don't know, she's a freak. Hopefully she has some friends that will also
I don't
be
think she has
introduced
friends.
to.
I feel like she doesn't have friends, but I agree with the romantic interest. I think I said that last week.
I wasn't.
But I think I said that. I think that you're gonna see there's some boyfriend or something weird happening.
Yeah, I think that could very well happen. But let's get into some questions for you, JD. Let's talk about you, our special guest here. We talked enough about the episode.
All right.
Go ahead.
So, can you tell us a little bit about the audition process and how you were cast as Trevor on this show?
Yeah, well, man, it was so long ago, actually, because, James Gandolfini, this was his, baby project. Rest in peace, Mr. Gandolfini. So we actually got to do the table reading with him and, so way back, this started way back then. And I believe my very first audition was for another character. I can't even remember exactly which one it was. And it didn't work out, but Steve Zalian, I think he was still in the process of polishing up the scripts and writing some things. And, I'm very
honored to say like he had me in his mind, and he figured that he could fit me into a nice place, and he did, and I'm very appreciative of that. So, I'm sorry, I didn't know I was on. That is how the role basically came about. After James passed, they cast De Niro, and then he had to drop out for other obligations, and then it went to Mr. Turturro, who, like I said, I'm a huge fan of, and so honored to be working with. And then we got back to work, and actually we were shooting this for maybe 2 years or more, on and off. So it's a lot of effort that's been put into this. But I believe Mr. Zellian, he just had luckily he had an eye out for me. He liked my audition for whatever the character was I did before, and he had me in mind when he wrote Trevor, and I got the call, which was great, and I really appreciate it. But yeah, that's basically how this came about. But like I said, the process was really long. It was definitely about a 2-year or more process. We'd shoot for like a month or so, then come back again in 6 months, then go and come again. Because it's really, Steve is, if you can't tell, he shoots movies. Like this is not a TV show. This is just
it definitely feels like a movie.
Yeah, an 8-hour-long movie. So I have no idea what the edits are gonna be. I mean, I have no idea when my character is gonna show up and how it's gonna go. But I can just guarantee you that it's gonna be high caliber and high quality.
Yeah, that's exciting. I can't wait to see your character come back because I think he's up to no good.
Me too. How did you prepare for this role? Did you watch a lot of crime movies? Did you talk to anyone?
Well, this role was pretty simple at first, because when I got the part, I didn't, it's a murder mystery. They can't give you too much information, so I didn't really know a lot of my character's motivations. There wasn't too much background on them, so a lot of it was just surface until I got the later scripts. And so at first, I played him like a neighborhood guy who kind of lived in the neighborhood and who saw the girl, I believe it was Andrea was her name. He knew her from passing and so forth and so on. But also I played him like, somebody who had an ignorant view of ethnicity, you know? So it was like pretty simple, in that regard until later on when I started to get more information about what was actually going on. And as far as the procedural and the police procedural and the mystery procedural, New York is good for that. HBO is great for that, and I've done a good amount of those, and it's always great to approach them differently. This one I had to kind of go really slow because I definitely had to wait for more information as it went along.
Well, let's piggyback on that. You've done a lot of work with HBO. You have like a really great relationship. Why do you keep going back to HBO? What makes it special?
Oh man, well, first of all, I've been working with HBO since I was 18. It started with Oz, and I feel like I went to HBO instead of finishing college.
That's
it was
awesome.
like basically a thing where I was learning from J.K. Simmons and Eamon Walker and Adewale and Lee Turgeson and Harold Perrineau, and Kurt Avocito, and I was around, and Ernie Hudson and Terry Kinney, and I was around these people, for a good 4 or 5 years, just learning the craft. Tom Fontana and Dean Winters and his brothers, the Winters brothers, their writing, and it's like I learned so much doing that, and you get from HBO the caliber of everything, the caliber of actor they keep around, the quality of writer they keep, the quality of producers and directors that they continue to work with. And so being a part of that is kind of like being a part of, an elite troupe in a way, and especially when you continually, get called back or you continually work with them, that means that they trust you with their quality. And I have to give a lot of shouts and a lot of props to Alexa Fogel, who is a casting director over there that gives so many of us, these opportunities. She believes in us. And obviously, like I said, I want to thank her for her eye and her judgment, because that means a lot to me. So just working with HBO, it means a lot to me in the sense of being, it's the difference between being a street baller and being in the NBA to me. It validates a lot of things in a certain way, especially as far as quality. I definitely appreciate that.
I agree.
That's amazing.
HBO's the best.
They are.
They really are.
Now, you mentioned that your character, Trevor, incorporates this sort of ignorance, to ethnicity, and especially towards Nas in the beginning, like we saw last week. And we touched on this a little bit last week when we were discussing the episode. But in the BBC original, the main character was white, and now in the American adaptation, he's Pakistani American. So I was wondering if the writers and producers had a discussion with all of you actors about their decision to make Nas Pakistani American and kind of incorporate these different racial relations, and how do you think this affects the direction of the show and just kind of incorporating these different elements in our society?
Well, first of all, us actors, we don't get to approve anything in that regard.
Yeah.
We might be able to switch out a line or two, so and so, but no, you're right. The character was originally white in the BBC original, but I think Steve and I'm gonna kill myself for his partner, but they wrote the character as an Indian because the character is a cab driver in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And they simplified it as far as that. They said, look, we're going to be honest and most likely realistic about the city and the police and the people and the smells and the atmosphere. Most cab drivers in this city would be Pakistani or Indian descent, and it also helped the story along in many facets as far as keeping it authentic. And so this is actually what Steve said actually at the premiere. And I was surprised, not by the reasoning, but just surprised that it was just that simple for him.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
but that was why, that was the main reason that he said that they made the actual adjustment. And I think like I said, being honest, I think it's a good adjustment.
Yeah.
As well.
I agree. And last but not least, I know that you're playing Jabari on Bounce TV's Saints and Sinners. Tell us a little bit about that role and that show and what we can expect to see from you moving forward.
Okay. Saints and Sinners, like you said, it's on Bounce TV. We just completed the first season. It was 8 episodes. It's starring myself, Clifton Powell, Vanessa Bell Calloway, Christian Keys, Keith Robinson, and Jasmine Burke, and Neil Carr also. And it's basically, the premise is, I guess you can say it's kind of like Empire, but set in a church.
Oh, cool.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so and it's based in Atlanta, so there's plenty of drama and plenty of extra things going on. It's fun and guilty pleasure. It's directed. It's a great show, and it's a lot of fun. It's actually Bounce TV's first drama, and we did really well this year. We'll be back for a second season. I believe we go back probably in the fall.
Nice.
To film. Yeah, so if you haven't had a chance to watch it, if anybody hasn't had a chance to catch it yet, I'm much more integral in there, and it's called Saints and Sinners, Bounce TV. You can download the Bounce TV app and watch all the episodes now if you want. And like I said, you get to see me a lot. I don't want to spoil it for you, but I'm in there a lot.
Cool.
Sweet.
Congrats
good.
on a second season.
Yeah, it's awesome.
We'll definitely have to check that out. But as far as the night of is concerned, we're so excited to see more of Trevor.
Oh, yeah.
More of Trevor moving forward. Can't wait to see how he comes more into play. But thank you again, JD Williams, for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
We really appreciate
You
that.
have really, really good insight.
Yeah.
I feel like I learned more.
A lot.
Yeah,
Education.
Thank you very much for the compliment. Thank you for the invite, guys. I see you on here. You're all very lovely.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Well, like I said, we definitely appreciate you calling in from the East Coast. I know our fans are going to love this.
Yes.
I can't wait to see all their comments. And until next week, thank you again. Well, hopefully we'll get more great guests for you guys. And thank you for tuning in and listening. If you like what you see, give us a thumbs up. And please comment, leave your predictions below. Let us know what you think about this episode. And continue to tweet us all week. we got some great people joining in the conversation last week about the premiere. So I can't wait to see what people thought about
Absolutely.
this episode.
Yeah, me too.
And what we can expect next week. But again, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Miaira Jennings. And where can they find you guys?
Hey guys,
Renee.
I'm Renee Ariel, and you can find me on Twitter and on Instagram at Renee Ariel.
Hey guys, I'm Abby Vega. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at _Abby Vega.
Hi guys, I'm Joelle Monique, and you can find me this week on Black Girl Nerds, where I'll be at San Diego Comic Con, and on Twitter at Joelle Monique.
Awesome. And also, you're watching The Night Up, so I'm sure you like murder mysteries. I have a book series on YouTube called Plot Twisted, and I'm talking about criminal stories and all murder mysteries. So you can find that on youtube.com/Miaira Jennings. And again, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you, JD Williams, who plays Trevor. Find him on Twitter at JD Williams ENT. He will be happy to join the conversation as well. And thank you guys. We'll see you next week. Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.